I always look forward to Waco's annual Out on the Brazos LGBTQ plus Pride celebration. And it was on one such occasion as I sat in my chair, staffing our church's booth, that the sense of goodwill that had been the mark of the day was blasted to shreds. When a local pastor known for his anti-LGBT rhetoric, but pretending as if we were old buddies, walked up to my booth and thrust his paw in my face as if offering it up for a friendly handshake. I was stunned. He and his minions had made their way into the event under the pretense that they were there to rescue us all from the flames of hell to which we were surely heading, while it seemed abundantly clear they were just having a good old time at riling everyone up and ruining their day. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he really was looking for an extra star in his crown in exchange for saving a few lost souls. For he looked me in the eye, and with the greasy smile of a used car salesman pasted across his face, he said, "I'm just fishing, Charlie. Don't mind me. I'm just fishing." Which I suppose was an allusion to this morning's text, when Jesus tells Simon that from now on, Simon will be fishing for people. It's a phrase that's always felt kind of icky to me, fishing for people. It feels as icky as the fake smile pasted across that evangelical bully's face. It feels icky because the fishing metaphor has been so easily misinterpreted to mean that we have the power to hook or to catch others for God. We don't. We aren't called to entice, manipulate, trap, or bully others to accept Jesus or join our religion. What was taking place at the Pride celebration was not fishing, but instead religious abuse. In his book, Binding the Strong Man, theologian and activist Ched Myers argues that we distort the radical nature of the phrase, fishing for people, when we interpret it as an invitation to issue altar calls. Jesus was not talking about filling pews or boosting church membership rolls. He was referring to the Hebrew scriptures in which the hooking of fish is a euphemism in the book of Amos for judgment upon the wealthy who oppress the poor and crush the needy. The prophet declared, "The time is surely coming when they shall take you away with hooks, even the last of you with fish hooks, and you shall be flung out." And in the book of Ezekiel, God declares to the Pharaoh of Egypt through the prophet, "I will put hooks in your mouth and I will fling you into the wilderness." Far from saving souls and bringing people into God's kingdom, the biblical image of fishing is one of getting evil and oppression out of the kingdom. In other words, when Jesus asked Simon, Andrew, James, and John to fish for people, he was asking them to help usher in God's kingdom by challenging and overturning systems built on power, privilege, exploitation, and domination. The foundation of this new kingdom was that of justice for the poor, mercy for the oppressed, and abundance for all. And it wouldn't be up to the powerful lawmakers and rich billionaires to bring about this new world order, but instead common and ordinary people like these fishermen. The first century privileged class looked down on fishermen, even though they depended upon their labor, much like a great many people in the U.S. look down upon the immigrants who pick our crops and serve us at restaurants. The Roman poet Cicero wrote, the most shameful occupations are those which cater to our sensual pleasures. Fish sellers, butchers, cooks, poultry raisers, and fishermen. So when Jesus referred to fishing for people, he was more likely inviting these despised lower class fishermen to join him in liberating the poor and downtrodden from the oppression of the Roman Empire. And the people he would have been inviting them to go fishing for would have been the ruling class. But Simon at first was resistant. "Go away from me, Lord," he said, "for I am sinful." Kind of sounds like he had bought into the lies of unworthiness that were being told about him. Something that I see within our own community. Too many people have bought into the lies that they are inherently sinful because of who or how they love or because of how they present themselves. Not only is it not true, but they're just the people that God has in mind for setting right a world which the ruling class oppresses those who are powerless. Go away, we say to God, because everyone else has. Everyone else has gone away. Our faith community, our family members, our peers, they have all gone away from us after having labeled us as sinful. And so sure that God has mistaken us for someone who is better suited for the job, like Simon, we tell God to go away. But instead of going away, God looks into the deep recesses of our soul and sees that at our core, we are afraid. We are afraid of failure, of coming face to face with our own limitations and weaknesses. We are afraid of rejection, of losing the friends we've managed to acquire. We are afraid of what people will think of us, afraid of looking like a fool again. And that's when we hear Jesus saying to us, "Don't be afraid." It's a theme that's repeated over and over within the Gospels. An angel tells an unwed teenage girl, "Don't be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." An army of angels tell some low-class sheep herders, "Do not be afraid, for see, I'm bringing you good news of great joy for all the people." Later, Jesus will come to the rescue of his disciples, walking across the water and telling them not to be afraid. And to you and me, he repeats the same words of assurance he spoke to Simon while inviting us to come with him and fish for people. And suddenly we understand that maybe we're not being asked to fish for people as much as we're being asked to fish for people. When Jesus asks us to fish for people, maybe he's asking us to fish on behalf of them. Maybe he's commissioning us to cast our nets and haul out the abundance of exploitation, corruption, poverty, and war that infest our world. To cast out the homelessness, violence, racism, sexism, transphobia, and homophobia in our neighborhoods. These are the things I believe Jesus calls us to uproot and cast out. And that's the sort of fishing to which I believe we're being enlisted. We live in a day and within a country where God is calling us to go fishing. But it's the kind of fishing which challenges the status quo. So may we take up our nets and not be afraid to fish for people, to fish on behalf of the ones who have been stripped of power and self-worth. Amen.